Hi everyone. Can you believe I'm back with another video and I didn't wait 3 months to do it? Yeah, first let me just start off by saying this video is a little chaotic. Sorry for the handle of my cup that is in the frame. I really need to figure out this setup, but it's just hard with the redoing of the bedroom and trying to figure out where it fits in and all of that stuff, but I will eventually get there hopefully, and hopefully learn a better way of filming these types of videos. But yeah, so this is going to be a painting of a candle, as you saw in the thumbnail. I will say that's not what I intended to paint 2 candles side by side based off an image that I had seen on Pinterest of 2 candles, one lit, kind of snuffing the flame of the other candle. But once I got done with the first one, I was like, yeah, I don't have the energy to paint another one. I was getting frustrated because it wasn't really turning out the way I wanted it to. And so I said, you know what, rather than put myself through that and end up hating the painting just because it frustrated me, I'm just going to do a single candle and I'm going to see if I can paint smoke. And so that's what I did. Now, as you can see here, I'm just scrubbing in a purpley blue background, trying to leave a spot in the center that's a little lighter just to make the candle stand out more. Now, I don't know what was going on. I don't know if it was my paint or the canvas or what, but for some reason I had a lot of pilling with this painting, and it was just so frustrating. Frustrating was kind of the theme of this painting very quickly. I would say by this point here, I was already frustrated because you can see my background was very, very streaky, and I felt like no matter what I do here, I took a fluffy brush to try to blend that out, and it was not working. The paint dried super fast for some reason, which was strange because it's pretty humid, so I didn't expect that. So here I am, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back over it, and then I realized that despite the fact that the background appeared to be dry, it was still coming up when I was doing this. So I'm just trying to put down a bunch of paint and kind of force it to work. And then here I think I finally was like, okay, no, it's not working. So let's try it. This corner over here looked more dry, and so I was like, okay, well, maybe over here will work. And I know you guys can't really see because of the glare over there. Again, I'm so sorry, but it worked maybe marginally better than the other side. But really, I was just driving myself crazy for no reason when I could have simply just stopped, blow dried the canvas. I had a blow dryer right beside me, and it would have made it so much easier because that's what I ended up having to do anyway. But I guess let this be a lesson that sometimes art is frustrating, even when you want to do it, even when you're trying. It's just sometimes things, they just keep not working out, but come together in the end. And this painting did. I was really pretty happy with how it turned out. I like painting candles. I like painting flames, but today I do find them frustrating to do. So after being so frustrated this whole time anyway, I was just like, you know what? No, I'm just going to try smoke. And I think for my first, and yeah, as you can see here, for some reason, I think someone called me and it stopped recording. So I missed the initial putting down of this orange base layer for the candle. But yeah, anyway, I don't remember what I was saying. We got rain in Michigan the past couple of days. We hadn't had rain in weeks, and it finally cooled off, so that's been nice. It finally feels like fall. We were in the 80s and 90s, which was too warm for this time of year. I am ready for hoodie weather, and it makes me want to, I think I've said this before, I feel more creative when it's cooler, because when it's warm I tend to want to be outside. So yeah, I decided today was a good day to put on an audiobook, and I'm listening to Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. It's the second book in the Ninth House, I believe that's what it's called, series. It's very dark academia, very appropriate for this time of year. There's magic, there's evil, there's just a lot of very seasonal feeling things. So if you're into that kind of vibe, check out Ninth House. and Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I'm really enjoying it. So again here, I feel like, I'm not sure if you guys can see the pilling that is happening with my paint, and it just felt like the paint felt almost tacky as opposed to like smooth and fluid. It just, I'm not sure what, if the paint is just bad maybe, but it's not that old, so I'm not sure. But I was getting very annoyed with that because it felt like it was ruining all of it. Colors weren't blending, and yet if I went over them again, we're pulling up. So I was not sure what was happening. But I did push through because, again, while I can reach a point where I'm like, okay, I need to just take a break. I need to step away and let this painting be. I also don't want to let myself just immediately give up because it's not going the way that I want. Because I know that usually if I just take a breath, and if I'm recording, pause the video and just sit there for a second and think about it, I will be able to carry on and finish the painting. And all in all, this took me right around 2 hours to do, I believe. And again, I am happy with the final result, so I guess in the end that's what matters. So here I'm just trying to add some highlights. Candles are really hard to paint because you have to try to capture that kind of 3D look to them, and that's something that I struggle with, and yet I like painting them because I want to get good at it. So I just let this be what it was. I was like, it's an attempt. I'm not this amazing artist who knows how to do everything the first time they try. It's all very much trial and error for me. It is all a learning process, and I want to be okay with the progress I make along the way. So just adding in some shadows here. And you'll see I kind of work this candle to death. I mean, I just keep going back in, keep fixing highlights and shadows and the colors, and just I really try hard to make this look the way I wanted it to. I really do want to, I like painting light because I feel like it just looks magical in paintings, but I'm also very intimidated by it. I've done it before, but it never turns out exactly the way I want, and so I'm intimidated by it. But I really want to get to a point where I can paint flames and like glow. I want to capture that magical glow that so many artists do so well, and I know that I just need to practice to get there, but I find myself being kind of afraid to, and I'm not sure why that is, because I don't even have to show anybody. I could go sit down and just paint a bunch of flames, and no one's going to know how maybe awful they are at first. I can choose to just share once I've gotten to a point that I'm okay with it. But then I'm also like, but if I show the progress, then other people can see that it's okay to not be great right out the gate. I'm sorry guys, I know this video is kind of hard to do a voiceover. I maybe should have just done music, because really I am just like working the shadows and highlights over and over again until I feel like they look decent. My palette was a mess, so I was having a hard time finding where I could mix colors. I need to wash it, but I'm bad at that for whatever reason. I always wash my brushes, but my palette suffers. But here I'm trying to capture like the melted pool of wax in the middle, and I feel like, and I didn't record it, but maybe I'll go in after, before I hang it up on the wall or sell it or whatever I do, and just add in some really bright white highlights with a gel pen. I really like the way that looks, and even if it doesn't look super realistic, I just think it brings some sparkle to paintings, so I might do that. We'll see. Well, I'll see. You guys probably won't, but I also didn't realize when I was sat down to paint before I was like, oh man, where are my canvases? And I didn't realize that all I have are 8x10s currently. So this is on an 8x10 stretch canvas. I kind of prefer 11x14. That's kind of the perfect size where it's not too big, but it's not too small, because I feel like a canvas that's too small is almost as intimidating to me as a canvas that's too big. Because when it's too small, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to make sure I can fit everything on here, and I got to make sure that it looks okay. And this canvas size, I do think ended up being perfect for this specific painting, but typically I do like 11x14 a little bit better. I used to paint only 16x20. I did a lot of landscape paintings that were 16x20. And when I think about that now, I'm like, how in the world did I fill in all that canvas? But I did it. I did it. And it's sad because a lot of those went to my mom. Bought a lot of them. My Aunt Kim bought a lot of them. And unfortunately, neither of those two women are here anymore. So it's kind of a weird feeling to think about that. But my brother, I think, has the ones from my mom now. I'm not sure what happened to the ones my aunt had, but yeah, they were my biggest supporters. Or my mom was, until she passed, and unfortunately, that's just life, I suppose. But I hope you're all doing well. I hope that the craziness of the world isn't bringing you down too much, but I'm sure that everyone's having a hard time with something that's going on. I don't want to get into that stuff in this because I want to try to keep it upbeat, but I'm just saying I hope you're all doing okay and managing to get through. Because I'm still just painting, still just trying to capture that 3D nature, and I wish I could express how annoyed I was, because it was not coming together in my mind. And that does happen. I mean, I have completely scrapped paintings before because I was just overworking it and could not get it right, and it wasn't worth it for me to keep going. But most of the time, that's not what happens. Most of the time, I can salvage it, even if it doesn't end up being what I wanted it to be in the beginning. So here I'm like, no, I need more highlight here. I'm like, oh no, it's rubbing off again. I don't understand. My paint was just having issues. It had to have been the paint. I don't think it was the canvas, but it was just having issues today. And then the glare, it was just, you guys, I wasn't feeling most of this process today, even though I really wanted to paint. So I'm sorry if this video is kind of rough, and if it's not enjoyable. Feel free to let me know. I'm always willing to hear constructive criticism. You can probably hear the cricket. I have no clue where it is. My cat will find it at some point. And here I'm just going back over that melted wax pool. Trying to give it the beginning of a little drip in the front and off the side. Didn't like it. Wasn't light enough. Go over it again. I think that was the hardest part for me, is because since this is a very simple painting in terms of like content, I felt overwhelmed because there wasn't really anything else I could move on to, where normally I'd be like, okay, if I'm painting a landscape and a tree isn't coming together, I could go work on something else in the landscape. But when you're doing just one thing in the center of a canvas, there's nothing else to work on. And so I think because of that, I was just getting frustrated, and maybe I should have painted the other candle and worked on that one for a little while and gone back and forth. But I kind of in that way let the frustration get the best of me. And here I decided, you know what, let's just get the wick on there and just try to make it look like it's submerged and little reflection and stuff in the wax pool. And I don't know if I'm talking too much. I know, guys, I'm so awkward. I don't ever know if I should talk or put music over it, but I feel like putting music over it seems so impersonal. So I tend to opt to talk, but I don't know if anybody wants to listen. And here I'm trying to decide, I think, what I want to do. Do I want to paint the flame, or do I want to skip that? And I'm like, okay, let me go back into this, because I was trying to decide what I wanted to do. So I just went back to adding more shadow, and I wanted it a little bit more red and a little bit less like dark, I think, is what I was doing. And again, I know the lighting on this candle may not make sense considering it's been snuffed out, but I painted it with the intention of adding a flame. And so I was just like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm just going to go with it. Maybe there's an alternate light source or something where it's reflecting. I don't know. But here I'm like, okay, let's start trying to put down the basic design of the flame or the smoke. And then I didn't like it, so I used a little bit of medium and removed that. And I just didn't like how it looked. And then I'm like, you know what? Let's just go right back to it. It's hard to capture smoke because it's such an organic shape. It doesn't really have a shape, right? So I think I did okay. I don't remember if I've painted smoke before, honestly, but if I have, this is only maybe a second attempt or something, so I don't think I did too terribly bad. In the end, it looks like smoke coming off a candle, and I guess that's the whole point, right? I did use a reference for the shape of the smoke, but when I mean, I do think that needs some work from my end, is getting that, like, it's not a tree branch, and I feel like that's kind of almost the shape that I went with, and I wish I had made it a little bit more, like, flowy and random. So down here I'm just adding, like, you know, more of like a haze from like a buildup of smoke, I guess, at the base of or at the tip of the wick. I was just highlighting some of it. But yeah, I don't love the shape of the smoke. And that's okay. Like I said, I mean, you have to learn, you have to start somewhere. So this was a good starting point to learn how to do that. And my paint, like, was not wanting to go on the canvas at all. It was so just very strange. And so here, I think what I did was dip my brush in a little bit of the slow dry medium to use as a blending agent, I guess. I don't know. And then I thought, okay, yeah, I need to, like, smudge more of this around at some point. I don't know when I actually do that, but nope, sorry if you guys hear that. Yeah, I just started smudging. And I ended up liking the painting, like I said. It's not like I don't like it, I do. Just, it's not what I wanted it to be. And yeah. I wish that glare was not so bad. I guess I need to get some blackout curtains maybe and see if that helps, because the curtain I had up clearly did not. Here I am just, like, making the wick a little darker. And I think I do go back in at some, yeah, I know I do. I go back in and I do add more of, like, a hazy kind of, like, smoke. Oh, here I'm adding, I thought that was next, but here I'm just adding some highlights, because I thought it would look pretty. yeah, here's where I use my finger, some slow dry medium and a tiny bit of white paint, and I just kind of smudge it all around that area to create like a very thin layer. And here I was scratching off a drip of white that got on there somehow. Yeah, that's it. That's my attempt, at least. So I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you soon. Bye.